And what's up, everybody? I'm back, or we're back. Another episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. This is Talking NASCAR podcast episode number 97. We are creeping ever closer to number 100, and we totally have a plan for what we're going to do. Back with Garry. Gary's back with his Tigers gear on. I got my Tigers gear on.
I got my Tigers. I got my Red Wings because they play tonight too. So, yeah.
Here's the
I
good
won't be able
news.
to watch half the.
When this video goes live, the Tigers will not be eliminated from the playoffs. That is a guarantee.
Correct.
So that's good news right there. But anyway, we're going to talk some NASCAR today.
Who knows when this uploads that maybe they'll be in the championship. Well, not the championship, the ALCS.
That would be peak. Wicked only.
Facing the Yankees or Royals. Looks like Yankees, but.
Drew. But as far as NASCAR related stuff goes, we got to talk about Talladega. It was another wild weekend down in Talladega, as it seems to always be. All three series were down there racing. Only have a couple other silly season news stuff to talk about. The big news going around right now is stuff we already talked about last week with the 2311 antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR. They are still going through all the motions with that. NASCAR has responded to the lawsuit, kind of acknowledging it, and also saying that they're looking into stuff and whatnot. Though nothing concrete has come out, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much else otherwise because of that. But do have a couple of other things to mention. And then, of course, at the end, it's another cutoff weekend coming this weekend at the Roval in Charlotte. So we will preview all the action there because there was a lot of point shakeups post-Talladega, as that usually seems to be. So let's talk about Talladega first. So the Truck Series race. Ben Rhodes had an early issue after having to, I think, serve a penalty. But he was able to overcome it for the most part until the end of the race. Taylor Gray had to make an unscheduled stop as well in the second stage, so some early trouble for a couple of our playoff guys. Also saw Nick Sanchez go around in a small accident. Nobody was really super badly damaged in the wreck, but Nick Sanchez was definitely the biggest driver involved in it as the second stage came to an end. They also collected Ben Rhodes, Chase Purdy, and a few others, but nothing too crazy. The big one did, though, strike finally in Stage 3. Lane Riggs, Taylor Gray, tons of others were collected. Really shook a lot of things up there. Nick Sanchez went around, again, late in the race, set up a late restart, which set up a fantastic finish, but as Grant Enfinger was able to win in a photo finish. Absolutely great finish right there. 3-wide finish, but went to Grant Enfinger. As pretty much everybody else in the Truck Series field besides the top three finishers wrecked behind them. So that kind of Talladega in a nutshell. But some crazy stuff there. We'll go over how the playoff looks now a little bit later. For the Xfinity Series, the first stage was pretty clean, all things considered, but a big wreck took place in the second stage. Jeb Burton was involved, Parker Kligerman was involved, and a few others. And then it struck again in the third stage, collecting Shane Van Gisbergen, who honestly was having a very good day up to that point. He was running pretty well, but a bunch of others were collected. Eric Almirola, after having a pretty decent run, blew a tire late. And then with 3 to go, the big one struck again. This time taking out Brandon Jones, Parker Kligerman again, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier. A lot of playoff drivers were collected in this wreck. That really shook a lot of things out there, but it set up an overtime finish, and the winner went to Sammy Smith, who will be advancing to the second round of the Xfinity playoffs. He was the lowest seeded driver in the Xfinity playoffs, and he was able to get the win. He's moving on with the overtime victory. So very good job there, Sammy Smith. Congratulations. Congratulations on the win. It was pretty good. And with his win and the wrecks, really did shake up the Xfinity grid as well. Also, Sam Mayer was disqualified after the race. This is the only real penalty that I could see from the weekend. Let me see if I can find. So yeah, Sam Mayer's car was DQ'd, and they were trying to appeal it, but it got upheld. So the car was found to be too low in the rear, and as a result, was disqualified. So that was that. But another pretty exciting Xfinity race, lots of big wrecks. And then we get to the Cup race. So I didn't get to, so I'll put it up right there right now. I did not watch any of the trucks. I did not watch any of the Xfinity. I went off the highlights. And I also missed about half of the Cup race. But then I got to go home and watch the Cup race. Here's what I missed. I missed Daniel Suarez pulling a Kevin LePage and pulling up right in front of oncoming traffic and taking himself out after serving a pass-through penalty on the start of the race due to stuff there. For Daniel Suarez, this has just been a terrible playoffs for him. He has had terrible run after terrible run. Just barely got into this round, and he's definitely in a must-win situation now going into the Roval because of this, because of pulling a Kevin LePage in front of BJ McLeod of all drivers. Come on, what are you doing? Things calmed down after that till the end of the second stage when Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and a few others wrecked, including Joey Logano. It was the end of the day for Chastain and Blaney. Blaney taking a pretty serious points hit because of it. Logano was able to continue. I think Tyler Reddick also got a little bit of damage in it. But then things, once again in the third stage, was kind of just calm chaos. They were nothing really crazy going on. Everybody, super speedways are now fuel mileage races, and so everybody was worried about fuel. They made their pit stops until 5 laps to go when the big one struck again. Was this the fourth or the fifth or the sixth big one of the weekend? And it was a record-shattering one. Well, I guess not shattering one, but a record-breaking one. 28. Yes, 28 cars were involved. For all of you NASCAR enthusiasts out there, that breaks a modern era record for the largest crash in the Cup Series by one total car. It's also the third largest wreck, I think, of all time. At least in recorded history for NASCAR, even going back to, there was that big 37 car wreck in the 60s that took out, I think that's still the biggest one, and then there was that Xfinity Series wreck that took out 31 cars in 2002, also at Talladega. That's still larger, but I think otherwise we take the honor for this one. But it's been a long time, and
someday Michigan will get it. Someday.
It's easier to say who was not involved in this wreck. Austin Cindric was having a really good day. He got caught up in it. Logano was in it. Chase Elliott was in it. That was my fantasy pick for the week, and he almost got through, and then he didn't. That was annoying. But anyway, a lot of cars were involved. And this does bring us to probably the most controversial part of the weekend. And that is, another officiating fuck-up by NASCAR. Why do they always pick the worst time? Why do they always pick Talladega for the most reffing fuck-ups? I have no idea. So the whole thing last week from Kansas was with Josh Berry. He spun out. He had all 4 flat tires, couldn't get going, so they towed him straight to the garage, and he said he couldn't continue. This week, now there's that, we'll get to that in a minute, but anyway, get to more of that in a minute, but this week, the wreck happens, and there's dozens of cars just littered all throughout turn 3, and some of them are pretty beat up, and can't actually continue. Others just have flat tires and they can't get going and they just need help getting back to the pits. So NASCAR this time decides for some drivers that no, you're out of the race, you're done. And then some drivers were allowed to get towed back to the pits, got their cars repaired, and actually were able to finish the race. What the hell is that? Like Joey Logano, he was told he couldn't continue. But, John Hunter, no, not John Hunter Nemechek, who was it? Chase Elliott, they tried to fix his car. I don't think they did a good job about fixing it. I think they got it at least somewhat repaired. But, and like several other drivers, like Eric Jones was one of them, I think, that, like, what the fuck? It was like a half and half sort of situation. What the fuck were they thinking?
There was also at one part where I was listening to a radio thing on my phone, and I guess one of the spotters and crew chiefs was telling the driver, don't let them take down your net, because if they take down your net, we're out of the race. So
yeah, that was the other thing. There were just a bunch of drivers that were just stuck in their cars, just like because they didn't want to get out of their cars and admit that they were going to be out of the race. They wanted to try and get back to the pits and fix their cars.
Well, some of them were, okay to continue. So, I mean, like, some of them were okay to continue, but most of them weren't.
Right. But it's just like, and so now the whole thing with the damaged vehicle policy, it's coming back into light this week. A lot of controversy, a lot of uproar from the fans and from the drivers, especially Joey Logano. He gave a very angry interview during the red flag because of the crash, saying that if they had just put inner liners in these tires, this wouldn't happen. And I agree with him. The inner liners, I still don't know why NASCAR took the inner liners out of the next gen car. I think if the inner liners were there, I think they could. I think a lot of these drivers could have at least had an attempt to repair their car and get back in the race. And maybe some of them wouldn't have been as bad to begin with. We also wouldn't have seen the Josh Berry thing from last week, and we probably wouldn't even need to be talking about this at all because it wouldn't matter. If at that point, if you have the inner liners and the car still can't get driven back to the pits, then it's kaput. It's done. It can't do anything, right? But now you take the inner liners out and you introduce this whole wave of controversy because now some drivers are going to get towed back to the pits to get repaired, which I think is stupid. If your car can't continue, if you can't drive your car back to the pits, you're done. Done. Kaputs. Like, I agree with I actually somewhat agree with the Josh Berry thing from last week. He couldn't get his car back to the pits to get repaired. He's done. But they made exceptions this week at Talladega, which does not make any sense at all. Don't know why they would go back on that ruling.
His car trying to think about what he just turned into.
It just doesn't make any sense. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. So we're gonna need some explanations there. But that again is my 2 cents on the whole situation. If you can't drive your own car back to the pits, you're done. Doesn't matter how beat up it is, you're done.
Sure.
But once again, NASCAR pulling some bullshit to save everything going on. Anyway, so that kind of a lot of other people were not very happy about that. But then we get to the rest of the race. Went to overtime, and there's like nobody left in the race at this point. I think it came down to Ricky Stenhouse, Brad Keselowski. I think Kyle Busch was still in it as well, still fighting for the win. So a few drivers, but not many. And we got another photo finish, won by the one and the only Ricky Stenhouse. Wins another cup race in a 6/1000ths of a second finish.
Without his dad being there because he got suspended.
No, he was there. He got reinstated. I think a week or so ago. It was recent.
Well, I heard different from a Kyle Busch fan, so.
True. Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse wins. Who that had that on their bingo card? You probably should have. I mean, you should have probably had it on your bingo card because it's Talladega. But also, it's pretty crazy. So Stenhouse's second win at Talladega ever. His first win of 2024. It gets him into the New Year's Eve Spectacular. So we're up to 23 drivers now in the race this year. Adding Ricky Stenhouse. So this will be his third time ever in it and second consecutive. But overall, I mean, so congratulations there to Ricky Stenhouse. He had a pretty decent car all day. It's not like he was like 3 laps down and then bullshitted his way back into the win or something like that. He had a pretty fast car all day. And honestly, I was kind of rooting for Brad Keselowski until the wreck happened because the wreck happened. This was the stupidest wreck ever, by the way. Austin Cindric brake checked the entire field, and Keselowski, rightfully so, drove right through him and caused a massive accident. I don't know what the fuck Cindric was thinking, but, like, what the fuck?
He was thinking of being an idiot.
True. But congratulations to Ricky Stenhouse. Another non-playoff driver getting a win there. So nobody is officially, I think, locked into the playoff to the next round yet as a result. But we'll go over the points in a little bit. But that was Talladega. Here's a positive. No flips this weekend from any of the 3 series. So that was a good sign. I think that was NASCAR definitely did do some work for between Daytona and now, and I think it did pay off. So that is good. But yeah, no flips.
You mean Michigan and now?
True. I thought overall, though, it was a pretty solid weekend at Talladega. Exciting racing, good finishes, unpredictability. It's what you expect from Talladega. I know a lot of people don't like super speedway racing because they think it's just a big roulette wheel. And yeah, it kind of is. But also, it's fun racing. And it doesn't happen every week. It happens 4 times a year. I guess 6 now with Atlanta. But still, come on. You gotta like it.
I just like it because whenever they bump each other, you see the front car or the back car start wiggling and you think, oh, is there going to be a wreck? Is there going to be a wreck? Like, you know, and it's also strategy of how much it, like,
right.
Me playing iRacing, I know now what NASCAR drivers have to deal with. Either push them a little bit harder to get in front or push them softer to get faster. It's like, strategy.
No, there definitely is still some strategy locked into it, but overall, pretty good weekend. So, I don't know if you got any other lasting remarks, Hitmaster, before we move on.
Watched the entire Cup race. I didn't watch the ending, so I didn't get to see the last of it because I was going out to eat with my family. So, yeah. But other than that, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, in the playoff standings, post Talladega, so for the Truck Series, Grant Enfinger with his win is locked in. So there are 3 more spots up for grabs. Tyler Ankrum sits 23 points back. Nick Sanchez, after a pretty rough day, sits 20 points back. Taylor Gray also did not have a great day at Talladega. He sits 13 points back. And Rajah Caruth sits just 5 points back. Above the cut line, Ty Majeski plus 5, Christian Eckes plus 29, and Corey Heim plus 30. So that is the Truck Series standings. For the Xfinity Series, Sammy Smith obviously is locked in now, like we said, to the second round. So there's still 7 spots up for grabs otherwise. Parker Kligerman sits 16 points back after being involved in 2 separate wrecks at Talladega. Sam Mayer with the disqualification, now back to 13 points back. Shane Van Gisbergen, after getting caught up in that late wreck too, 10 points back. Justin Allgaier also got caught up in a wreck, 7 points back. So a pretty stacked lineup for drivers that are out of the playoffs right now. AJ Allmendinger, 7 points above the cut line. Riley Herbst plus 20. Jesse Love plus 22, Sheldon Creed plus 32, Austin Hill plus 37, Cole Custer also plus 37, and Chandler Smith plus 64. So I think it's safe to say Chandler Smith's going to get in, but as far as the other spots, it's still kind of a toss-up. It's just going to have to depend on kind of where they go and kind of early troubles and stuff like that. So
I did want to say one more thing that I just now remembered. I don't know if it was Cole Custer. No, it's whoever drives the 41. I don't know why I'm not thinking of it in my head. But he did a little Talladega Nights thing at the end, where they ask him how was the car or something, and he does the Ricky Bobby, the car.
yeah, that was a nice Wonder Bread paint scheme, I must say.
Yeah, I was waiting for who was gonna bring out the 47, Old Spice car. I was like, where's the Old Spice car? I know they did that one year, but where is it again? Where's Cal Naughton? And where's the 55? Come on, man.
True. All right, and then for the Cup standings, nobody is officially locked in, though. There's some drivers that'll probably get in on points. Chase Briscoe, minus 32. Austin Cindric was above the cut line before the wreck, but now he sits 29 back. Daniel Suarez, minus 20. Joey Logano, minus 13. And then above the cut line, Chase Elliott, plus 13. Tyler Reddick, plus 14. Ryan Blaney, plus 25. Alex Bowman, plus 26. Denny Hamlin, plus 30. And then Kyle Larson, plus 52. Christopher Bell, plus 57. And William Byron, plus 74. Safe to say that probably Byron, Bell, and Larson are getting in the next round pretty comfortably.
Yep. Especially if Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell win a stage at the Roval, they are definitely locked.
Yeah. So that's the playoff standings post Talladega. So now we can put it in the books. So I only have a couple other things that I wanted to talk about from the last week of events. So Eric Jones's crew chief was fired and let go from 2311 Legacy Motor Club. John Hunter Nemechek's crew chief will be moving over to crew chief the 43 for the remainder of the season. And then Brian Camp is going to be moving to crew chief the 42. He's one of their tech advisors, I believe. And he's going to be moving up to crew chief for the 42 for the remainder of the season. This is all just part of their whatever shit show's going on over there at Legacy Motor Club, because they are, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't help that Jimmy Johnson's running half of it.
True.
Because he sucks.
And then the only other piece of news, the CW came out and said that they are exploring options to broadcast, for their, what the fuck are they called? Announcers to announce the races remotely from the studios in North Carolina, instead of going to the races themselves and announcing them there. This happened during COVID, during 2020, with NBC. Like, they would just stay at, it was pretty obvious that they were doing this. They were just at Charlotte all the time, at the Charlotte broadcast booth, and then would call the race remotely. But that was because of COVID restrictions and whatnot, for travel precautions and whatnot. I don't know why the CW is considering doing this. Is it for budget cuts for traveling because they have to pay for the travel? Or is it just because they're lazy and don't want to pay for the suites or the booths or whatever? It has to be something money related.
Both.
But it's definitely a weird thing to consider.
It's both.
Yeah, probably both. Yeah, you're probably right.
CW is only for comedy stuff, not for NASCAR and stuff like that. I've always hated that they were coming to the CW. Meanwhile, you got Fox, and then you got USA, and it can deal with a, NASCAR type of thing.
Yeah.
Or, do the other thing and bring back speed, put it on speed. It was actually more interesting. Please, I beg of you, we want that.
True. Anyways, that's all I had for the week. I don't know if you had anything else to add, Hitmaster.
Nope, nothing.
All right then. Then we should get to our race preview.
The Roval.
So I think only, let me check. I believe it's only Xfinity and Cup this weekend.
Yeah, it is.
It is only Xfinity and Cup this weekend.
Because when I looked at the schedule, when I tried looking at the results and stuff like that on my phone, it didn't show Charlotte Roval for trucks. So yeah, it only shows Talladega.
So who do we think's going to? Well, obviously, first let's talk about the Roval. It got reconfigured for the 800th time, so we'll see if that does anything. As far as, I guess, improving the racing product, I don't know. The Roval has always been pretty exciting. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of it though. It's all right. It's all right. Just all right. But it is a cutoff race for both the Xfinity in their first round and the Cup in their second round. Both will be going down to 8. So it is very, very intriguing for how drivers are going to race. Very tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be a fairly exciting weekend. But who do we think is going to win the Xfinity race?
So this is going off a limb. I'm gonna go with Jesse Love. Yeah. I was gonna say Sam Mayer, but from looking at it right now, it looks like I feel like Jesse Love's gonna win.
I'm gonna go Shane Van Gisbergen. He has 3 road course wins in the Xfinity Series. He's gonna be desperate for a win. He is below the cut line right now. He wants to get to the next round, so I'm gonna pick Shane Van Gisbergen to get this one done. So
SVG.
And then the Cup Series.
I won last week because Kyle Busch decided to, ruin that. So let's start with you first. I will take the Byron. Mix it around. Put it all back in. And bam. Brad Keselowski.
They're pretty decent back.
I take Kyle Busch one, put it in here. Break it around. And then yoink. Ty Gibbs.
Well, being a road course, it is going to be pretty even matched, I think, this weekend. Normally, I'd say Brad Keselowski would win in a landslide, but not here. Not here.
He's not with Penske anymore.
That's true. It's very true. But anyways, that's all we really got for this week, for this episode, and for this video of the Talking NASCAR podcast. If you want to be a guest on the Talking NASCAR podcast, all you got to do is join the Bringless and Company Discord. Links in the description down below. Request the Talking NASCAR role from both me or Hitmaster, and we will get you guys scheduled and find out a time to talk some NASCAR. It should be a lot of fun. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content from both me and Hitmaster. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.